have a card share for you, but it's a little bit of a twist on the card share, and it's going to be an invitation share. I've recently made a big old pile of invitations for my daughter's upcoming birthday, her 10th birthday party, which is going to be at a pool, a local community pool, which is indoors, and they have a little party room, so it'll be very nice. Actually, because my daughter and I couldn't settle on a theme, she's also a big Lawn Fawn fan. We picked 3 different themes for 3 different style of invitation, and we did 10 of each, basically. So I have some of them left to show you guys before I have to pack them up into envelopes and get them out in the mail today. So like I said, this is mostly featuring, for the theme anyway, the images, mostly featuring Lawn Fawn stamp sets. So I have the products here to show off. First of all, not a stamp set, but they're all pivot pop-up cards. So they all have the pop-up on the inside, and I used the Lawn Fawn pivot pop-up die in which to make those. And here is the actual, this is the die that cuts the actual mechanism that folds on the inside. These are the accessory pieces. And let's see, so for stamp sets, we have the Lawn Fawn Dunna stamp set. It's the cute little shark. And obviously I've used this many times. It's a favorite. This little set is a favorite. And of course the coordinating dies for that. It's just a small Lawn Fawn set, so I actually keep multiple small sets in one pocket. So I didn't, these other ones are just stored with it and not not things that I've used on the card. But then the coordinating die, there's only 3 pieces for the dies that coordinate with that. Also, we used the You Are Sublime stamp and die set. This is a brand new one, just out for summer, and just in the nick of time. So we had a lot of fun using images from this set. I did use some of the sentiments, and you'll see when I show the actual project what we've got for sentiments. So another one, an oldie but goodie that I used, is the Ahoy Matey stamp and die set from Lawn Fawn, because we wanted kind of a pirate theme as well. So that was fun, and I used a little bit of the sentiment from this too. Basically, I just kind of mixed and mashed what I needed to get the theme that I needed for the card, and you'll see what I mean. And then not a Lawn Fawn product, but I did use this Hero Arts Invitation theme stamp set, and I used the You Are Invited script font little stamp right here to put on the front of all the invitations, because I really liked the script. I really just like the font on this one. So so basically all Lawn Fawn except for that one stamp from this set that I borrowed, because I couldn't find a Lawn Fawn one that I liked. But I did like this, I did like the script one. So that's what I have for stamp sets. I used a wide variety of other products to pull this together. So let me just go ahead and do the card share, and then I'll kind of show as we're going along the different products that I've used. And of course, links will be down below if you're interested in anything, and they may be affiliate links. So here's the first one. Obviously, this one is heavily inspired by the You Are Sublime stamp set. We have the little submarine, the anglerfish, some greenery, other little assorted fishies, and here's the sentiment that I was telling you about. Oh shoot, I don't have it. I didn't keep it out, but I cut the wave pattern using the using a wave die, and I forget who makes the wave die. I don't think it's Lawn Fawn. No, it's not Lawn Fawn. And I don't remember, I'm sorry, who makes the stitched wave die. It may have just been a generic one that I picked up on eBay. So I did cut that, and then the background is inked with some Distress Oxide ink, and I did use, for all of the backgrounds on mine for the sky, I did use the My Favorite Things stencil, just the cloud stencil is what they call it. So I made my own background, stamped a little bird here. These images again are from the You Are Sublime set. I did use, just giving it a try, I did use for my stamping, I did use the new to me, the My Favorite Things, it's Stream Black ink. It is a pigment ink, so it needs a little bit longer to dry. And all of my coloring is not with alcohol markers today. It is about, I was more feeling the Tombow, so I'm using, well, it's not just Tombow, but oops, I just lost the cap here. Using my Tombow watercolor markers, which I just used for ink blending, and I did not watercolor in this particular batch. And then my Artist Lofts watercolor dual tip markers that I got from Michaels. And I didn't obviously hold out all of my markers, but just a couple to show you what I'm talking about when I refer to those. I'm having a blast with them. I have been using, for just color blending, I have been using the Strathmore Bristol paper, and it pills a little bit whenever I try to blend. So I can't say that this particular paper is my favorite for the blending. I think that I got a better result when I was watercoloring with these markers on watercolor paper. So I don't know if it's just this particular brand of Bristol or whatnot, but I still have quite a bit to use up. I don't waste things, so I still have quite a bit to use up, as you can see. So I will try a different brand the next time when this is out and kind of test it. It might just be what doesn't work for me. Maybe it's just not my thing, but I did have fun doing it, but the markers blending on the Bristol, the paper pills really quickly, even with just a really simple 2-color blend. Anyway, so moving on. So those are the Stamp the Images in the Extreme Black. They're colored with the Tombow or the Artist Lofts markers, or both, because they blend well together as well. So I'm kind of using them all together. Background we've made, and then of course, as we open it up, it is the Pivot Pop-Up. And this one is super cute. I love this little lobster here, and I decided to make him orange. And then we have a couple of other die cuts in here. You Are Sublime. These are, again, all colored with the Tombows. Here's one of the sentiments that I used. Just really cute. I had fun with it. And then I used the little air bubble stamps to stamp some distress ink directly onto the image. Now, the graphics parts here were done in my Cricut design space in Print and Cut, and it's a file that I designed, and I put the little edge, the wave edges right in there. And then of course the bottom part here, I've got the top that I made for Leah's 10th birthday pool party, and this is all just a file that I printed out on my printer, and then the Cricut cut it out with the shape. And then the bottom here has the details about the party itself. And because this is an actual invitation, I'm just covering up my my cell phone and the address of the party. And the same thing on the bottom, just mirrored so that the waves appeared on the top. And I don't know if you can tell in the camera or not, on all of these, I did do a little ink blending on the edges here, just to kind of, with that same oxide ink, just to kind of, I don't know, give it a little something extra on the inside. A lot of fun, very cute. And for ink blending, I either used, on the front and on the sides, I either used just my tool here, but I'm finding that I'm liking more and more my finger daubers that I got from scrapbook.com. So it's a little bit pricey, but as you can see, they last a really long time. Definitely worth it if you like to do ink blending. Really good for just small little spaces, and I'm finding that the pads are holding up a lot better than the pads that you used for the Tim Holtz ink blending brush. Okay, so this one is obviously very much inspired from You Are Sublime. Let's get that put away. And the second style we have is very much inspired by the Donna stamp set. Again, I made this background using the stencil and the Distress Oxide. Stamped and colored. I've borrowed the palm tree from the Ahoy Matey set on this one because I wanted a little island. I wanted to keep the front very simple and just have the only thing that you saw is the shark fin. And I hand drew in my white jelly pen, my white jelly roll pen, just kind of like some little ripples around the shark. I wanted that to be it, and I wanted to say Donna, Donna, but it was really boring and it looked really plain, especially compared to some of the other cards. So I decided to give it a little bit of interest. I would just pop a little bit of a peak of an island in there, and it seemed to balance it out and make it not boring. So the water itself is still undisturbed with everything but the shark fin, but we've got a little bit more decoration on here. In the Donna, I stamped just twice to kind of bring a little smile, and I used my Close to My Heart slate ink to do that because it's a really nice gray, and I like the way that it's kind of stood out here. And then here we are again with that sentiment from the Hero Art set. Very simple. Now this island here I actually used, and I do have them in different colors, these islands. Like I have some green ones as well, because I was just using up scraps. And what I used for the island, just to shape the island perfectly, was I used this little part from the pivot pop-up. And I just cut from that, and then I just kind of positioned it behind the wave. And then it made it look like an island, so that worked for me. Anyway, so let's go ahead and open this up, and then we have the shark on the inside. The same thing. Now, the top part here and the party text are the same in all the cards, so I will spare you guys going through that description again. So I put the shark on the inside of the card. Unfortunately, the whole shark doesn't fit sideways on one of these panels because it still has to close, but I thought looking at the shark diving was kind of cute too. And just a couple of fish, some of them from the Sublime set, and one of the fish is from the Dinah set. And then the coral backgrounds, I'm also, when I'm making these cards, I'm very conscious of trying to keep the total weight of the card to under an ounce so that I can still mail them with a stamp. So I didn't want to add more die cuts. I didn't want to add more die cuts from the not the greenery, but the plants from the Sublime set, which are really nice, and I do use them in the next card that you'll see. But it was kind of pushing this over the edge a little bit, so I thought that I would stamp on some plants instead. So these are actually from, and I didn't keep it out because I used it and then I immediately put away the set and didn't think to pull it out for filming. But it's from the My Favorite Things, I think it's called the Mermazing stamp set. And they have some solid like seaweed and coral images. So I was like, oh, that would be perfect. So I just stamped those on in some more Distress Oxide ink because it sits really nicely on top of colored paper. There we go. Better. I'm aware that I have a little bit of a shadow here. But anyway, so I got the look that I wanted without adding extra weight for some die cuts. So that is the second card. And then the third card is the pirate theme one that I referenced earlier. So different. Also, I was just trying to use up whatever colored papers and whatever I had on hand. So that's why between the styles, some of the blues aren't compatible. I don't think that anybody, like, nobody ever asked to see somebody else's version of an invitation, you know, if they're invited to a party. So I figure whatever, you know, everybody's going to get one. So I'll do whatever I can with it. So I was just kind of trying to use up papers and stuff. That's why you see some different color inconsistencies. Anyway, so this is obviously a pirate, more of a pirate themed one. Although I did use the fishies from You Are Sublime. And so, oh, and this, the only difference is that I heat embossed this sentiment because I wanted it to be white. The black wasn't, I did a test one, and the black text, the black ink that I was using for the text on the other cards wasn't showing up as nicely, so I wanted it white. So I did heat emboss on this one, and of course I used my Versamark ink and my Wow White Fine Detail Embossing Powder. And again, the inked background that I made. And boom, we open it up to You're a Treasure on the inside. I had a lot of fun with these, and I ended up stamping the little X from the set instead of stamping it and die cutting it on something else, and I really like the way that this turned out. This version of the card is probably my favorite. On the inside, I think that the shark one, because it's so funny on the outside, is probably my favorite, but this is probably my inside favorite one here. So very cute. I had a lot of fun doing it. It was a lot of work, but I had a lot of fun doing this project. And I will say that breaking it up into 3 different styles kind of helped to reduce a lot of the monotony, right? Working on a project, because I got to switch it up a little bit. I stamped out a bunch of extras, so I have a lot of die cuts to work with on future projects. I made a ton, as you know, but the ones for my daughter's classmates have already been distributed, but these ones I actually need to get packed up and get them mailed out to friends and family this afternoon. And I happen to know that the post office has shark themed first class stamps, so I'm really excited to go buy some of those to put on these envelopes to mail them out. So we've already talked about, aside from the stamps, some of the other products that I used, my stencil, the markers. And again, I'll link stuff down below if I can find it, and I will be using affiliate links if applicable down below, which you can of course use to look at or to purchase at no charge to you. The Close to My Heart Slate ink, which I'm not even sure if you can get this anymore. I'll have to look into it. I think that may have been discontinued. Distress Oxide, Versamarks. Oh, Versafine. I used Versafine, and I forgot to bring that up earlier, to stamp the black sentiments. But other than that, all of the black stamping that you see, like for the coloring, I use the Extreme Black. I'm liking it so far. I'm certainly liking it for coloring better than I like the Memento. This does stamp darker, but I still usually need to double stamp it, but I like that it's nice and black even with a double stamp, versus if I want something really black with the Memento, I have to stamp it multiple times. I think Memento is still perfectly fine, but I'm liking this a little bit better. The downside is, though, if you're in a hurry, and I've been in this position a couple of times where I'm just trying to stamp out a couple of things really quick because I need to run out the door, and I want to take the coloring with me for a game or something, they're wet. So, you might smudge your ink, and that's a little bit annoying, and that's because Memento dries instantly. It might be a little bit more of an advantage using that if you're in a hurry or don't have time to wait for things to dry. So, and I think the last thing, obviously I used my Cricut, I used my Cuttlebug for the die cutting. The last things that I probably use that I haven't shown you guys are the adhesives. I just used some score tape. This is the 1/8 of an inch thin score tape. I find that the generic score tapes are perfectly adequate, except for the 1/8 of an inch. I find that they don't work very well. And also, I really needed the 1/8 of an inch because a lot of the tight spaces that I had to tape up for the mechanism here for the pivot pop-up. So I thought I would just pull out the big guns right from the beginning and go straight for the brand name score tape. There we go. And then for liquid adhesive, I used the Lawn Fawn glue tube. I'm really starting to like this. I wasn't sure how I felt about it at first, but I'm really starting to like it. It's to my understanding that it's the same glue that Gina K uses for her Connect glue. So, and I think that they're pretty comparably priced. So whichever one you can get your hands on and want to give it a try. There is another glue that I have that I want to try after I use this up. So we'll see how that goes. But I think that I might like this a little bit more than I like my multimedia matte. It just seems to work a little bit better, and it definitely comes out, and it's water-based, so it flows a lot easier, I think. Anyway, so I think that's probably it for assorted supplies and things. And again, I'll link stuff down below, and I had a lot of fun doing these, and I might offer a version of these in my Etsy shop. I don't think the problem with handmade, especially with invitations and something like this, is that people don't really want to pay you to do them. They would rather spend, $10 and have somebody make them a file that they can take to their printer and have them print off 50 copies versus paying you to, $6 or $7 a piece to assemble them. And you have to charge that much to do it because it's very time consuming. If you take on, let's see, it probably took me between all the different layers of things that I had to do and laying stuff out to dry and then coming back and following up with this and that. I don't want to say it was a 40-hour work week to do it, but it definitely took me all week to do these. And if you watched one of my videos from, I think it was my Monday chat video from this week, I had to basically finish 20 cards in the space of about 24 hours, and I was straight out constantly having to work on it. So it's a lot of work. So you can't charge, $2 a piece for these invitations, or you're essentially just doing it for free. So if it's your actual job, you need to be charging a fair amount for these cards. So I'm not sure if anybody will actually pay me to do these, but you never know. I've had some orders for some really complicated invitations before, and if the budget allows for it, people tend to not mind spending money for the quality and the charm of handmade. Unfortunately, it doesn't fit into everybody's budget. If I wasn't already into card making and already didn't have these supplies on hand, I probably wouldn't have invested in really thought out invitations like this for my daughter's party. That's just the way that it is. I'm a little bit luckier than most moms, I guess, because I've got all the cool craft stuff, as the kids say. Anyway, so thanks so much for your attention. I hope that you enjoyed and that it gives you some ideas of things that you can use your products for. I really felt inspired. I really wanted a pivot pop-up invitation because I thought that was really unique and really cool. We're having a pool party, so we definitely wanted kind of beachy swimming theme to go along with that. So I had a blast, and my daughter did as well. She had a lot of design input, even though she hasn't actually done much physically to help. She had a lot of design input, and I should point out my daughter is also a huge Lawn Fawn fan, and she will sit down with me and she will shop with me and she will watch the videos with me and she will talk to me and come up with ideas. So I think it's really cute to have something like that in common with my daughter. She knew immediately when I suggested that we make the invitation. She knew immediately that she wanted Lawn Fawn, and she knew exactly what she wanted. Thanks very much. I hope that you've enjoyed, and I'll talk to you later. Bye!